This project is about creating a set of tables in Word so that we can design a storyboard for use with Photostory. So let's get started. Alright, first of all we click and we open up our Word document. Now for this project we're going to set the Word document out in landscape form, so let's go up to File and we choose Page Setup. Now we're going to set our page setup in landscape so that we have it's larger horizontally than it is vertically. We're going to change each of our margins to 1 centimeter. I double click on each of the sections and I can click a 1 and I just tab across to each of the next sections. Because it was previously in centimeters, even though you can't see it there, it will remain in centimeters, and I click OK, and there we go, we have it. Now if you can't see your document as mine is here, you can go up to View and to Zoom, and you can choose Whole Page, and that will make sure that it takes up as much of the space as possible. Okay, now we're after a 3-column document. Our 3 headings are going to be image number, a poetry section, and a section for our images. So, and we'll put in about 10 rows to get started. So we go down, and now we've chosen the this section over here is a auto draw insert table. Now if we want, of course we don't see that on anywhere, we can add that to our icon section up here, or we can go up to Table and Insert Table, and let's do that for the moment because that's reliably available on all Word documents. So let's go, so Table, Insert Table, and we can choose the number of columns and rows that we want here. So we're after 3 columns, and tab down and put in 10 rows. Now our very first row up the top here is going to be our heading, and we'll just call it Storyboard today. But what we don't want is 3 separate columns, so we want 1 solid row. What we do is we click and highlight across the rows until we have them all highlighted. Then we can either right click and choose Merge Cells, or once again we can go up to Table, find where expand that menu option and choose Merge Cells there. If we click off that, we can see that we have 1 solid cell all the way along there. And let's put in our heading of Storyboard. Now we can format. Okay, that I've centered that. Highlight the text. Give it a larger text size. Choose Arial. That'll do for the moment. That's nice. Okay, our next 3 sections. What we don't want is equal spacing across here. We want to maximize this area in the middle here for use for our text, and that's about the right size area for our images, although it could be a little bit smaller. So let's bring this column across. Now if you notice, when I drag my mouse over the top of this row here, it changes to the left-right arrow symbol, and when I left click on that and drag it across, you'll notice that I'm resizing the column, and I'll let that go. Now I've got a nice large area here for text, and in this case we're going to be putting our poetry samples in for our Photostory project, but it could be any text, and maybe a little bit smaller on this size here. So let's resize this one. Once again, get the left right arrow happening and move it across. There you go, that's great. So, and I'm going to put some headings in here, so I'm going to type a number because we're going to be putting a number in there. I'm going to put our poetry sample, poetry, and over here we're going to be putting in our image. Because we're dealing with Photostory, that's how we're planning on mapping this out. Now if we highlight all 3 cells again, we can, when we change the formatting, we can it'll change the formatting for all 3 cells. So let's center those. Let's change our font to Arial and make them a little bit larger for 14, and maybe even bold them, seeing as they are our headings. Okay, well we're halfway there. Now when we add images, if the images need a larger amount of area, they'll push these rows apart. But in case we were going to print this out as a template, or we were going to type in and we just want to make this look a little neater, what we'll do is we'll spread these rows out across and take advantage of the whole page. So let's grab our bottom row and drag it down to the bottom. Now you'll notice over here on the left hand side we've got a little blue marker moving up and down as that bottom row moves up and down. Now we don't want to get too close to this bottom blue marker, because what's happening there is that's our bottom margin. So if we can stay away from that, because if you get too close, I'll do this now and let go, and you'll notice what I've got is 2 pages. Now what that's done is the program has said, well, you're very close to that margin, we need to go on the next page. So we don't want that. To undo that, all we could go edit and undo row height, but we just want to go back just a little bit. So if we just bring it up just a touch, we don't actually need to go all the way to just a bit more. You'll see it's resized it there. Now we could get a little bit closer to that bottom margin. There we go. You can see down here we're still on page 1 of 1, so we're right at the moment. Now we've got one large row down here, because this is just one row. As you can see, if I highlight, it's still only one row, and all the rest are smaller. So now we're going to space them out accordingly. So we click on the very first row. Now, depending on how confident you are at resizing rows, or what you're used to, you can try any kind of highlighting you like, but I recommend clicking on this first row and dragging down while your left mouse button's clicked to the bottom row, and then dragging across. Now don't drag outside, otherwise you'll be resizing areas outside of that table, so just keep it inside that last row and let go. Now you've highlighted all the rows, including this large bottom one. Now sometimes you can right click and choose auto fit, and you'll have the options down there. In this case we don't. So what we're going to do once again is go up to table, expand that view, go to auto fit, and you will see here are the sections we're after. We're after to distribute the rows evenly. Now if we distribute the columns evenly, what's going to happen is it's going to resize these columns. We don't want that. Let's go edit and undo again. So we're going to go to table, auto fit, and distribute the rows evenly. And what that's done is given us nice neat rows of an even space all the way along. Now from this point on we can do one more small formatting. You'll notice that we've got the cursor in the top left hand corner for all of those items. Now because this is we're going to type straight in here and drop our images in here, we can try one more formatting. Now we could just center these items, but what that does is it centers it horizontally. It doesn't center our content vertically. So if I start typing, what's going on there is it's still up the top. So what we can do is highlight all of those rows. We can do one at a time, but I'm going to highlight all 3 because I want this formatting across all 3 rows. I'm going to right click and choose this cell alignment option. Okay, now this cell alignment option, it lets us align where the text or the contents of each of these cells is going to go. Now I've got, currently this is where I am at the top left hand side, and that's where everything would go. That's where it is normally. But let's change it. I want it centered horizontally and vertically, and that's this very middle one, and here we go. And so whenever I click anywhere now, my cursor is right in the middle. Now I haven't done it for all of them, and what I can do is I can do that again for all of them, or in this case, because it was the last option that I did, I can actually drop this down in my edit menu and choose repeat again, which is the Control Y, which is the shortcut. Okay, but let's just do it again. Highlight all those cells, cell alignment, and choose the middle one. That's going to do that. Now I can do that for all of them as well. Cell alignment, center, and that's going to do it all. I can also, when I'm formatting these cells, format the text default as well. So when I highlight that, if I now choose Arial and 14 point, that's what I'm going to get in all of those. So we're at Arial 14 point for the next slot, and so on. Now it's just a matter of inserting our images. You can either click or drag, but that's our storyboard, nice and easy, well set out. Alright.